They stopped her at the gate like she didn't belong. Two young recruits stepped forward, boots planted, hands hovering near their rifles, voices firm in a way that tried to hide their nerves. She stood in the early morning dust, the sun cutting a thin line of gold behind her shoulders. And for a moment the entire base seemed to pause, because if she said her name, everything would end right there. She chose not to. Before I tell you what happened next, tell me in the comments where you're rewatching from. I love knowing who's listening. The base was coming alive in layers. Engines growled awake. Metal doors slammed. Somewhere far off, a cadence echoed and dissolved into the air. The gate was supposed to be routine. Check IDs, wave people through, repeat. But this woman didn't fit the pattern. No escort, no visible rank. Just calm eyes and a posture that felt deliberate. "Identification, ma'am," the shorter recruit said, forcing confidence into his voice. She handed over a simple visitor badge. Expired. Intentionally. The recruits exchanged a glance. Training kicked in. Procedure over instinct. They asked questions: where she was going, who she was meeting, why she was here so early. She answered politely, carefully, never lying, never giving them the one detail that would collapse the tension. Inside, she felt the familiar weight of leadership. General Mara Ellison had commanded thousands, made decisions that sent people into danger and brought others home. She knew how fragile authority could be when it relied only on symbols. Today wasn't about rank, it was about judgment. "You can't enter without clearance," the taller recruit said, voice steadier now. "Then you're doing exactly what you're supposed to do." That unsettled them more than anger would have. A few soldiers slowed nearby. Someone leaned against a truck, pretending not to watch. Dust drifted through the sunlight, hanging in the air as if time itself had slowed to see what would happen next. Minutes stretched. Radios crackled. Sweat beaded under helmets. The recruits felt it, the pressure of eyes, the fear of being wrong, the heavier fear of being right. She thought of her first days in uniform, how her hands had shaken at her own gait, how badly she'd wanted someone to tell her she was doing enough. Then a senior officer approached at a brisk walk. His stride faltered when he saw her face. He stopped short, disbelief flashing across his features. "General Ellison," he said. The sound of her name landed like a dropped weight. The recruits turned sharply. Color drained from their faces. One of them swallowed hard. The other snapped to attention so fast his heels clicked. "Ma'am, General, we didn't recognize." She raised her hand gently. At ease. Around them, murmurs rippled. The mechanic straightened. Someone let out a quiet, nervous laugh. Phones appeared and vanished just as quickly. The gate, moments ago unremarkable, had become the center of the base. The recruits waited for reprimand, for consequences, for humiliation. Instead, the general studied them with an expression that held neither anger nor amusement in thought. "You followed protocol," she said, questioned uncertainty. "You didn't let confidence override procedure." Their shoulders eased just a fraction. "It would have been easier," she continued, "to let me through because I looked like I belonged. That's how mistakes happen." Silence settled, thick, respectful. She turned slightly, addressing the small crowd that had gathered. "How many of you noticed the delay?" A few nods. "How many assumed someone else would handle it?" No one spoke. The moral weight of that question hung in the air. "This base isn't protected by fences," she said quietly. "It's protected by people willing to stand their ground even when it's uncomfortable." Then she did the unexpected. She thanked them. Applause started softly, almost unsure of itself, then grew. It wasn't loud, but it was sincere. The recruits stood stunned, eyes bright, understanding for the first time that authority could also look like trust. Later, alone in her office, the general sat by the window and let the moment settle. Leadership always costs something: pride, patience, the safety of being known. But it also gave moments like this, where lessons landed without force. By evening, the story had spread across the base. It would grow in the telling, sharpened and softened by memory, but the truth would remain simple. A gate was held. A test was passed, and respect changed hands quietly. Because real authority doesn't need to shout, it stands firm and listens. And sometimes the strongest command is choosing patience over power. If this story stayed with you, Share it with someone who believes leadership shows up in small moments. Leave a comment, subscribe, and stay with Whispered Words because the quietest strength often carries the greatest weight.